Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Erin Resarinda. I am from class B1 2021. For now, I am going to review and explain the material about discourse analysis. Okay, for the first material here about discourse analysis. Okay, there are definition of discourse analysis, speech act, spoken discourse, and written discourse. The definition of discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is a linguistic field that studies how language is used in context, focusing on pattern of communication beyond individual sentences. It examines both spoken and written text to understand how meaning is constructed and communicated. Discourse analysis is important because it helps and uncover the relationship between language, context, and social interaction. It includes examining coherence, cohesion, speech act, and the role of context in communication. Discourse analysis studies the way sentence and utterance or speech go together to make text and interaction, and how those texts and interaction fit into our social world. It should be noticed also that discourse analysis is not just the study of language, but a way of looking at language as well. Okay, the next is speech act. Speech act is a functional unit of language used to perform action, such as requesting, apologizing, or giving command. Speech acts are acts that refer to the action performed by produce utterance. Through speech act, the speaker can convey physical action merely through words and praise. Speech act can be categorized into three types. First is locution. Locution is the act of saying something with a specific meaning. For the example, it's raining, stating a fact. And elocution is the intention behind the statement. For the example, can you close the window? Another mean is a request. And the third, perlocution. Perlocution is the effect the statement has on the listener. From the example of sentence, closing the window is a response to the request. Okay? Next is spoken discourse. Spoken discourse focuses on the analysis of language in conversation or verbal communication. It includes elements like turn talking, interruptions, pauses, and adjacency pairs. Spoken discourse often involves informal and interactive features, such as fillers, and nonverbal cues, gesture, or facial expression. For example, what time is it? It's 3 p.m. In many ways, speech is not so different from writing. First, when people speak, they also produce different kinds of genre. And second, use different kinds of social language. And three, also promote particular version of reality or ideologies. Okay, next is written discourse. Written discourse refers to structured text such as essays, articles, and letters. Unlike spoken discourse, it relies heavily on cohesion and coherence to ensure the text flows logically. Key elements include the use of cohesive devices, as pronouns or conjunction, and clear organization of ideas into paragraphs. Written discourse is more structurally complex and more elaborate than spoken discourse. In other words, sentences in spoken discourse are short and simple, whereas they are longer and more complex in written discourse. For example, in academic papers which follow strict rules of coherence and structure. Okay, next, material about discourse analysis and grammar. In here, we are discuss about references, ellipsis and substitution, and theme and rhyme. References are linguistic devices used to refer to something within or outside a text. When we speak or write, we often refer to things that were mentioned earlier, haven't been mentioned yet, or were mentioned in another context or at another time. For references, this include first, anaphoric, and second, cataphoric, and last, exaphoric. For anaphoric references, is referring back to something mentioned earlier. For example, Sarah brought a book. She read it in one day. In here, she refers to Sarah. Second, cataphoric reference. Cataphoric is referring to something mentioned later. For example, before he arrived, John called to confirm the meeting. He in here refers to John. And last is exaphoric. Exaphoric is referring to something outside the text, often in the physical environment. For example, look at that. Okay. The next is ellipsis and substitution. Ellipsis is the omission of words that are understood from the context. For example, she likes coffee and he likes coffee too. For substitution, replacing a word or phrase with another. For example, I'll have the chicken and she'll have the same. And last here, theme and rhyme. Theme is the starting point of topic of a sentence, and for rhyme, the information or comment about the theme. Example here, the dog is barking loudly. The dog is theme and barking loudly is a rhyme. The information for the theme as a dog. Okay, the third material here is discourse analysis and vocabulary. Here there are two parts. For part 1, we are discuss about lexical cohesion, lexis in talk, and textual aspect of lexical competence. In part 2, we are talking about vocabulary and the organizing of text, signaling larger textual pattern, register and signaling vocabulary and modality. For the part 1, lexical cohesion. Lexical cohesion is the relationship between vocabulary items in text described by the Halliday-Hasan model are of two principal kinds. They are reiteration and collocation. Reiteration is repeating words, synonym or phrases for emphasis or cohesion. For example, the boy played with a ball. The ball was red. There are repeating. And another example for rose and flower are related by hyponym. Rose is a hyponym of flower. Eggplant and aubergine are related by synonym. Okay, there is collocation. Collocation is words that commonly occur together. For example, fast food, make a decision, and take a break. Okay, next there are lexis in talk. Lexis in talk is vocabulary used in spoken discourse, often includes informal and conversational terms. For example, gonna from going to and wanna from want to. Okay, next is textual aspect of lexical competence. This refers to the ability to use vocabulary effectively to create coherent and meaningful text. It includes understanding word nuances and their context. For the part 2, here there are vocabulary and the organizing of text. Vocabulary and the organizing of text is vocabulary choices significantly impact how texts are structured and understood. For the example, words like however, therefore, and in conclusion guide readers through the text. Next is signaling larger textual patterns. Is certain words and phrases indicate textual patterns like cause effect or contrast. The discourse organizing words we have looked at in greatest detail have been illustrated in their role or representing segment of text, parceling up phrases and whole sentences. Discourse organizers often contribute to our awareness that a problem solution pattern is being elicited. For example, due to, as a result, and in contrast. Okay, next there are register and signaling vocabulary. Vocabulary varies depending on the context and audience. And context here there are formal and informal. On the other mean that the author's assumption about the audience. For example, I regret to inform you, informal, and sorry to say, informal. Last, there are modality. Modality refers to the expression of possibility, necessity, or certainly. For example, you must finish this. It might rain tomorrow. Another or degrees of modality, there are 3 degrees. For first is high modality and medium modality and low modality. For the next material is about discourse analysis and phonology. In here there are 2 parts. Part 1 about pronunciation, rhythm, word stress and prominence, and the placing of prominence. For the part 2, we are discuss about intonational units, tones and their meaning, and key. Okay, let's talk for the part 1. Pronunciation. Pronunciation, proper articulation of sound, is crucial for clear communication. For example, the difference between sheep and sheep, sheep and sheep. Okay, next about rhythm. Rhythm involves pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. For example, he is going to the market. He is going to the market. Okay, next about word stress and prominence. Word stress emphasizes certain syllables in word. Prominence highlights key words in the sentence. For example, I didn't say they stole the money. In here, different stress change the meaning. Okay, next is the placing of prominence. Prominence placement direct focus within a sentence. For example, She bought the car yesterday. She bought the car yesterday. In here, focus on action. That bought. Okay, part 2. In here there are intonational units. Intonational units is chunks or speech marked by intonation, pauses, or rhythm. For example, I'm not sure, but we can try. I'm not sure, but we can try. Okay. Next, there are tones and their meaning. Tones and their meaning is intonation conveys mood or intention. Rising intonation often indicates a question. For example, you're coming? You're coming? Okay, the last is key. Key refers to the general pitch level that convey mood or emotion. For example, high pitch indicates excitement, like, that's incredible! That's incredible! Okay. Class material about phonology and phonological awareness. What is phonological awareness? Phonological awareness is recognizing and manipulating sound units in language, such as syllables, rhymes, and phonemes. It is an essential skill for reading and writing development. For example, identifying rhymes between cat and hat. Cat and hat. Okay, next. Breaking down words into phonemes. The example word dog. D-O-G, dog. This detailed explanation combines theoretical understanding with practical example to clarify each concept. Okay, that's all the explanation from me. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry if there are mistakes. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.